what our unit might be on? Close. Alicia was the closest. She said bugs. It's going to be on insects. Does anyone know what an insect is? A bug, right? It's like a bug. Today we're going to learn about insects. I'm going to give you a little bit of information on insects, and then we're going to draw our own insect, and then we're going to do a little scavenger hunt and write a story about insects. So insects are small animals that have certain characteristics. They belong to a group called arthropods, and insects are invertebrates. Does anyone know what an invertebrate is? Remember, think back when we talked about vertebrates and what that was. Remember, vertebrates are when you have a backbone. So can anyone think of what an invertebrate might be? It doesn't have a backbone, right. I want you guys to turn to a partner and feel down their backbone. And imagine what it would be like to not have a backbone. Your backbone runs from your neck all the way down your back.
I can see a boy being like, oh yeah, I feel it.
What do you think it would be like to not have a backbone?
Probably be better.
Right, you wouldn't be able to stand up straight. So insects, in order for them to survive, they have what we call an exoskeleton. And an exoskeleton is a hard covering on the outside of their body. Have you ever stepped on a bug and you hear a crunch noise? Yeah, we've all done that before. And that is because you're breaking that exoskeleton. So they're invertebrates with no backbone, and they have an exoskeleton. And today, what we're going to focus on is the three main sections of an insect. I'm going to hand out some paper, and you guys are going to draw. And they don't have to be perfect drawings. Markers or crayons, you can get them out to draw, or you can just use a pencil. You don't have that one? Here. Thank you. Okay, the first part of our insect is the head. And when you draw a stick person, what shape do you draw the head? A circle. In an insect, it's more of an oval shape. Like an egg. Perfect, Andy. Good job. And on the head, they have two antennae coming out. You can draw your pictures real neat. We're going to be using these pictures for the rest of the unit. We're going to add different things to them each day as we learn. And the next part of our insect is the thorax, and that's the middle part of the insect. And that's just kind of, in different insects, it's different shapes. And later we'll learn about that the legs are attached to the thorax. And the last part, which is the largest part of our insect, is the abdomen. And that's the part where they kind of sit on. You know, they rest, when they're sitting down, they kind of rest on the abdomen. And sometimes, depending on the insect, the abdomen might have a stinger coming out of the bottom. Some insects do, some insects don't. Give you guys a couple minutes to finish up. Does this look like an insect a little bit? I'm not the greatest drawer, but what are we missing from our insect that we might learn about later? Legs. Wings. Perfect. Okay, now we're going to do a little scavenger hunt. And out of character, in my actual classroom, I would have these spread out across the whole room, but to save time and not to create such a big mess, I just have them up here. You guys are going to come up to the front, and you're going to find a head, a thorax, and an abdomen. And they're all spread out, so you have to look and make sure you find the right ones. I want everyone to get with a partner, and you and your partner are going to come up, and you'll just grab one insect. And then you'll go back to your desk, and you'll put your insect together. And then I have to write a story about your insect. And for your story, what I want you to do is I want you to write as if, let's say you bump into a human, and I want you to explain the different parts of you to the human. So use terms that we use today. If you want to, you can use exoskeleton, invertebrate, but make sure we use, what's this part? Head. What's the middle part? And the last part? Abdomen. I'll hand these out, and then you can come up with your partner, and each group only needs one. You can write a story together. When I say go, once everyone gets a piece of paper, then you can come up and grab your insect.
We only need one. That's about it.
Remember, each group only needs one. Is there any group that need a paper? Looks like everyone's okay. Ready? Go. Come grab your insects. Remember your 3 parts. Yeah, they're all grasshoppers. So you'll figure out. Did you get the middle? Here. Did you guys find all the parts of your insect? Remember to label your insect and use the proper grammar when we're writing our stories. story first. Andy?
Oh, so sorry. I bumped you with my abdomen. I was carrying things backwards and didn't see you. I think it might have hurt my thorax. Can you rub it, please? It is behind my antennas, which is on my head.
Perfect. Did he use all the words that we needed to? Were they correct? All right, that was very good. Which group would like to go next? Troy?
Hi, my name is Jumpy. This one time I was jumping around at the park. I heard a little girl scream. I think I scared her and my head hurt. I told her I was not scary, and then I told her about myself. I have a head. My middle is a thorax. This bottom part where I sit is my abdomen. She had such big ears but probably didn't hear me.
That's very good. Again, he used all the parts of the insects. Anyone like to go next? Cassie?
Once there was a icky bug that had funny ears. He had a head, thorax,
Perfect. Good job,
And-
Cassie.
abdomen,
Right.
and he had a funny butt.
And where his abdomen, that's what he sits on, so we could consider that his butt. Which group would like to go next? Everyone's stories are great so far. Angela?
Hello, Mr. Human. I am Sir Hops-a-Lot. I wish that you would not step on my head, for I needed to eat and think. Also, if you could not touch my thorax in the middle of my body, because I need that too. Finally, please leave my rear alone, for that is my abdomen, and it makes a loud, icky, crunching noise that will gross you out. Thank you.
Good job. Is there anyone that would like to go next? You don't have to share if you don't want to, that's okay. Okay. And then to end the lesson, just so you guys can remember about the head, thorax, and abdomen, how many of you have heard the song Head, Shoulders, Knees, and Toes? I see a lot of hands. For an insect, we can go head, thorax, abdomen, abdomen, head, thorax, abdomen, abdomen. And that can a little jingle to help you remember. And as we go farther in the unit and we add legs and wings, we'll add more to our story. You guys can finish up your stories and turn them in, and I'll